What's going on, guys? What's going on, Ty Squad? What's going on, everybody? So, tonight's game is the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers, and this matchup, this matchup goes back way back from the '90s to now this era. And I'm just going to say this is that I think we all thought as basketball fans that it would be Cleveland and Boston right now. Like, I similarly thought that going into this playoff series, going into the playoffs, that we were going to get the Cavs and Boston. That is what I thought, but Indiana and New York surprised us. They surprised us. They definitely surprised the whole basketball world. They surprised the whole basketball world. And by saying that, it's like if you surprise the whole basketball world by both of these teams, New York and Indiana, being counted out, because this is a rematch of last year's series. This is a rematch of last year's series. And we know Indiana took that series last year. But basically, both of these teams go way, way back in the 90s to the 2000s. And now we're getting Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson again. But this is a different New York Knicks team with Karl Anthony Towns, with Mikal Bridges, with Jalen Brunson. This is a team that I think we all don't know if the Knicks can do it. And let me say this, is that when Jalen Brunson signed with the Knicks, Knicks fans weren't happy with the signing. So if you're not happy with the signing, look what Jalen Brunson has done. Look what Jalen Brunson has done for the Knicks. This Knicks team, if they can win this series against Indiana and go to the NBA Finals since 2000, and I know this is only game one of the Knicks-Pacers series. The only way the Pacers are able to beat the Knicks, in my opinion, if you figure out a way to stop Jalen Brunson. If you just D up Jalen Brunson and not go into a zone, not go into man on man, or not go into a bots formation. Because with that, it seems like if you let if you go into man on man, or if you go into some situation of a play, if Jalen Brunson has the basketball, if Karl Anthony Towns has the basketball, Mikal Bridges, if either one of those guys have the basketball, Indiana should not go into a 2 free zone or a zone at that point in the series, because the way that Indiana plays, the Pacers have been to a conference finals last year. Hall of Burning, winning gold medal. I do think that the only way to stop the Knicks is to not go into a 2 free zone or go to man on man. Because if you go into a 3 or 2 zone, you know Jalen Brunson is going to read the play. It's going to look where Karl Anthony Towns is, where Mikal Bridges is at that point. So if there's some way that the Knicks can stop, if there's some way, that the Pacers can D up and stop the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and not go into that 3-2 zone or man on man or whatever play the Pacers are going to run on defense tonight, the Knicks obviously can win this game, but you should not go to man on man or to a 3-on-2 zone, because with that, it seems like you're just letting Jalen Brunson hit easy money buckets, Karl Anthony Towns hit easy money buckets, Mikal Bridges hit easy money buckets, Josh Hart hit easy money buckets. If Indiana goes into a 3-or-2 zone, or a man-on-man, or to a box zone, or whatever play they're going to run on defense, the Knicks might win this series. Point simple. The Knicks might win this series if the Pacers don't show up and go into that zone, go into that man-on-man play, or go into a 3-or-2 zone. The Pacers, honestly, you got Halliburton, you got Miles Turner, you got Miles Turner, you got Naismith. You got all of those guys that been to a conference finals for the Pacers. And now the Pacers, they want to be in the NBA finals. The question is, if you let them go into a 3-or-2 zone, like I said, or to a box, or to a man-on-man, against the Knicks, game 1 or game 2, or how many games this Knicks-Pacers series goes to, the Knicks are going to make the finals. But the OKC takes a 1-0 lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last night's game, you let Anthony Edwards only scored 18 points. He didn't have a good shooting night, and we get that. We get that about Anthony Edwards. Like, some nights it will not be your night. Some nights it will not be your night. Some days it will not be your day. That's just a part of life, is that some days it will not be your day, some days it will. So with Anthony Edwards not shooting the basketball well, it seems like OKC can win this series. You just, unless Anthony Edwards comes back game two, and turns the series around 1-1 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because let's get this straight out. Julius Randle is balling out. I'm surprised that ever since that trade with the New York Knicks and Minnesota Timberwolves, Julius Randle has been looking like a Hall of Famer and balling out. Anthony Edwards, I know he doesn't want to be the face of the league here, but the face of the NBA. But honestly, that is what he's looking like. He's looking like he has game similar game to Michael Jordan. Like, Anthony Edwards has to step up game two. If you at least want to get a game here against the OKC Thunder, against an MVP and Shea, because you don't want to go down 2-0 to the OKC Thunder, because then that just gives the OKC Thunder more motivation, more the momentum. And OKC has had the best record in the West for the second year in a row. And you let Shea go off for 31? 31? Oh my God. That just shows how he wants that MVP of the year. Shea is showing how he wants the MVP. Because if you let him go for 31 on you, 31 points? Like, I know that OKC's got Chet, they got Dort, they got a young group. The one thing that I really like about OKC is how they like being around each other. The one thing that I really like about this OKC Thunder team is how they like to be around one another. They like their interviews. I know I'm getting off topic. Their interviews are so fun to watch because they like to be around one another. And that team chemistry that the OKC Thunder have is something special. And if OKC can beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, it's kind of like something like special, because you got the MVP. You got the almost MVP, because now it seems like Shea's got the MVP locked up. But when you have Shea on a different level scoring 31, game one in the West Conference Finals. You gotta be at least kidding me that Anthony Edwards only takes 9 or 10 shots, which I think that is decent for Anthony Edwards, but 9 or 10 shots. Jeez. That kind of would would that would that hurt the Minnesota Timberwolves per se? Would it? Anthony Edwards taking 10 shots or 9 shots. Like, I get it. Anthony Edwards doesn't want to be the face of the league. But taking 9 shots, 10 shots, or 8 shots a game, that's decent. I don't know why they look at that as not a good performance. If you have 18 points, that's a good performance. But I get that Minnesota lost the game. It's just, if you're going to have Anthony Edwards score 18, you're going to have to, if Anthony Edwards comes out and has probably 20, 25 in game two, after the performance he had, I would say this: you should just D up on him. D up on Julius Randle, because Julius Randle might have a big game. DiVincenzo might have a big game. We can't count out the Minnesota Timberwolves just yet. Because I could probably see the Minnesota Timberwolves getting a game here, getting 2 games here. Because they beat the Lakers. When they beat the Lakers this year. So I would say I'm not counting out the Minnesota Timberwolves still. Because I feel like this could be interesting. This series could go into 7. Because we already knew that OKC was coming off a game 7. So the Minnesota Timberwolves could probably push the break and push this OKC Minnesota Timberwolves series to 7. But guys, sub if you're new and never give up your dreams. And I hope all of you guys are safe out there. And stay blessed, everybody. In peace.